camp director gives everyone a big warm welcome, but can you believe it? The young campers aren't too happy with the camp's environment. This creates a funny mood for all the camp activities ahead. There's so much giggling in the dialogue. It's filled with funny references to history and pop culture, which makes the show even more entertaining. This mix of humor helps everyone connect by sharing silly and relatable moments. As the characters chat and laugh, they find themselves in some truly wacky situations, like surprise weddings and unexpected rules. This adds to the hilarity and makes everything feel wonderfully chaotic. The characters are feeling a bit overwhelmed by holiday traditions and what everyone expects of them. This really sets the stage for their amusingly hectic Christmas preparations. Peter tries to cover up his last-minute holiday planning, and his funny, misguided confidence makes everything even sillier. His antics just pile on the family's frustrations in a really comedic way. When the family decides to erase some unwanted shows from the DVR, it feels like they're taking back control of the holiday chaos.
It's a funny act of rebellion against all the fancy expectations.
Stewie thinking about plastic surgery makes his friends worry about the choices he's making at such a young age. This situation shows just how exaggerated and funny their reactions can be. In the conversation about driving, Joe shares his wish for freedom, but the situation turns out to be so absurd. This contrast really highlights the humor in their silly interactions. Brian's attempts to connect with Holly are filled with awkward moments, and his friends jump in with funny comments about his big heart in love. It's a sweet yet comical part of their adventures. When Peter talks to Wild West, they share a laugh about serious topics like leadership and responsibility. It's funny how even discussions about politics can be approached with humor. The idea of levitation pops up in their dialogue, acting as a funny metaphor for the unrealistic promises that politicians make. This adds another layer of laughter to the story. Peter's silly belief that being a certain gender makes someone a good leader gives a funny spin on how people think about politics. It's a clever way to bring more humor into the show. When breakfast is hurriedly served, you can really feel the light and joyful spirit of the characters. Their playful banter makes everything even more comical. The mention of a Terminator robot brings a funny twist, showing how odd technological advancements can get. It's a fun reference to popular culture that makes everyone chuckle. The characters want to earn recognition, like winning the Customer of the Week award, and this shows their underlying insecurities. It adds a relatable touch to their funny characters. In a scene about buying art, the characters have a funny take on financial transactions, like splitting payments. It highlights how silly everyday situations can be. As characters talk about wanting a new pet, we see the funny contrast between their dreams and family dynamics. It raises the question of who really makes the decisions in a family. This scene is all about adopting a new cat, which shows how they need to adapt to bringing new family members into their lives. It's such a humorous take on the challenges of having pets. When the characters start talking about toxoplasmosis, things turn into a funny discussion among friends. It's a great example of how even serious topics can get a comedic twist. Their shared love for soup and quirky games like tongue dunking shows how close they all are. It sets a light-hearted and cheerful tone for their conversations. With their wild adventures and quirky miscommunications, the characters create a comedic backdrop. It highlights the show's unique mix of humor and silliness in everyday life. The characters get a bit mixed up about nap times and bedtimes, which makes for some funny moments. This playful confusion adds to the light-hearted picture of their childhood routines. When they mention the magic 8-ball acting like a religious figure, it brings out the absurdity of how people make decisions. It's a funny reminder of how we sometimes rely on silly tools for serious choices. When Stewie accidentally says a swear word as his first word, it gives everyone a shock. This moment highlights the funny challenges that come with parenting. The conversation hints at some dissatisfaction with the relationship's current state, showing how their interactions can become a bit boring. It's a fun reminder of how relationships can sometimes feel a little repetitive. Suddenly, a humorous cutaway shows their desire to escape from their routine. It highlights their wish for adventure and excitement in their lives. In the end, they realize they need to work together to break free from their boring routines. This hints at how important it is to collaborate in relationships.